Good morning, students. Today we are going to see auxiliary verbs. In your first chapter, model auxiliary verbs are prescribed for you to study. Before that, let us understand what are auxiliary verbs and then we shall move on to model auxiliary verbs. Auxiliary verbs are otherwise known as helping verbs. Auxiliary verbs are otherwise known as anomalous finites or special verbs. In English, we have 24 auxiliary verbs. There are two kinds of auxiliary verbs. They are primary auxiliaries and modal auxiliaries. Why do we use these auxiliary verbs? These auxiliary verbs are used in forming the tenses, moods, and voices of other verbs. Now let us see the function of the primary auxiliary. The primary auxiliary verbs in English are, as I told you, be form of the verb, do form of the verb, and have forms. These three forms, be, do, and have, all take part in the formation of various grammatical constructions but carry very little meaning themselves. These verbs, totally the 11 altogether, play dual role. Either it acts as the main verb or auxiliary verb in a sentence. Let me give an example for be form of the verb. My exam is far away. In this sentence, the verb is acts as the main verb. Money is applying for a job. In this sentence, is applying is the verb and is plays as the helping verb, whereas applying is the main verb. Let us see an example for do form of the verb. Ram does the crossword puzzle every day. In this sentence, does acts as the main verb and Hari doesn't go out much nowadays. In this sentence, doesn't go is the verb and does acts as the helping verb and go acts as the main verb. Let us see an example for have form of the verb. Sheila has a good job. In this sentence, has acts as the main verb and Nandini has just returned from a business trip. In this sentence, has returned is the verb, whereas has acts as the auxiliary verb and return is the main verb. Now let us see what are modal auxiliaries. Modal is a type of auxiliary verb that is used to express ability, possibility, permission, or obligation. These verbs are not used separately and do not indicate a specific action or state. They just reflect its modality, the attitude of the speaker to the action. We have fully modal and semi-modal or quasi forms. Fully modal, we have 9 verbs: can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, and must. In the semi-modal or otherwise known as quasi forms, we have 4 verbs, 4 semi-modal verbs. They are dare, need, ought to, and used to. Let us see the example for fully modal verbs. I can understand this topic. Here in this sentence, can is the modal auxiliary verb. If I were a bird, I would fly high. In this sentence, would acts as the modal auxiliary verb, whereas where, if I were a bird, where acts as the main verb. We should not go out now. In this sentence, should acts as the modal verb. It might rain. Here in the sentence, might acts as the fully modal verb and you must stay indoors. Must acts as the fully modal verb. Let us see a few examples for semi-modals. I dare to go in darkness. Here dare acts as semi-modal or quasi form. You need to add some sugar. in this sentence need is a semi-modal verb. We used to play cricket. Used to is a semi-modal verb in this sentence. Used to refers to past actions, and you ought to listen. Ought to acts as the semi-modal. So we have totally 4 semi-modal auxiliaries and 9 fully modal auxiliaries, altogether 13 modal auxiliaries. So we have 11 primary auxiliary verbs and 13 modal auxiliary verbs. Altogether we have 24 auxiliary verbs or anomalous finites in English.